Afghanistan is a different matter, even though the intervention there was authorized by the Security Council. And yet, violence is increasing there. The coalition there, both the US, the United Nations forces there, NATO, are all being challenged by the Taliban and others as illegitimate, as occupiers, the same as the US intervention in Iraq. What to do about Darfur? The US was criticized. No one appreciated the US help in Bosnia and Kosovo. It was savage for its intervention in Iraq. If I were an American president, I would say, sorry, now it's your turn. No one thanked us over Bosnia and Kosovo. We were savage over Iraq. Our people are dying in Afghanistan. Now it's a turn of Africa or the rest of the world to do something on Burma and Sudan. It is easy for any of us to make sweeping judgments about what to do on Sudan and on Myanmar. I know the issue of Myanmar inside out. For 20 years at least, been supporting democracy in Myanmar. Entered Myanmar illegally I don't remember even when I went illegally. I remember I went there officially for the first time in 2005. And even myself, I don't know what else to do to get the regime to open up and to engage in dialogue with Suu Kyi. What to do in Darfur? A gentleman in the previous panel, I don't know if he's in the room, he talked about the lack of regional leadership. Well, this is one real problem. The issue of Myanmar should be an issue that India and China, together with ASEAN, should own and do everything possible to engage the military to change course. Indonesia, I talk a lot with President SBY, Susilo Bambang Widjono, to take over the leadership of Myanmar issue. And they are doing. Indonesia is working with India and China, very discreet, to try to bring about some changes. On Darfur, what can the US administration do next time around? Well, I don't dare to prescribe because in spite of my reasonable, modest knowledge about the US and at the receiving end, of US foreign policy, whether bad or good, bad in the past, good in the last 10 years or so. So it gives me certain authority to see what the US can do. It must first and foremost, A, acknowledge the limits of its power. B, having acknowledged the limits of its power, exercise maximum prudence wherever it wishes to intervene diplomatically, to address situations. It should not take over leadership on issues that belong to the region. As Mark Malloch Brown mentioned earlier when he spoke, the US, UK and Europeans would not be the best to push to advocate for the International Criminal Court. It's already automatically would look as instrument of the Europeans, of the white people. What the US can do is to work discreetly, steadily, persistently with regional groups to live up to their responsibility. Provide the African Union, for instance, which it has not been doing, with logistic support, finance for its keeping efforts in Sudan or elsewhere in Africa. Provide more support to the UN, to the mixed UN African Union force in Sudan. That it can do, but it should not, I would advise, not to think of any more direct intervention. The US must preserve itself as a global leader. We cannot afford to have a United States that loses credibility because of thoughtless actions. Many countries, many individuals in Asia talk often about the United States should disengage its forces from Korea, from Japan. It already is engaged from the Philippines. But I tell you, as an interested party, if today the US were to pull out of Korea, to pull out of Japan, it would set in motion a huge arms race that would be profoundly destabilizing, with financial, economic consequence for the region far greater than economic financial crisis of 97, 98. While some continue to criticize US presence in Asia, and I talk from my experience being a small country in Southeast Asia, these are academic voices or irresponsible voices who do not see the consequence of the US withdrawal. Asia is one of the most unstable regions of the world and one of the most nuclearized regions of the world, from India to Pakistan to China to Russia, North Korea. And for the past 50 years or so, it has been the US that provided certain balance of power in the region. If the US were to withdraw today, Taiwan would increase dramatically its defense expenditure. Japan would do the same. China, because Taiwan increased its defense expenditure, China would be even more. So India would have to do it, Southeast Asian countries will have to do it. And yet the current US administration for 8 years paid very little attention to Asia. I would beg the new US administration to pay much closer attention to Asia, where there is huge economic prospects, but also where the prospects of instability and difficulties are great. It is not only Middle East. Our region of Asia is in serious difficulties. Look at Afghanistan, look at Pakistan, Bangladesh, and the whole Southeast Asia region, with Muslim insurgency in southern Thailand, southern Philippines. We will see what's going to happen in Malaysia with the new political atmosphere there. I do not wish to take much more of your time. I thank you, Madam, for giving me the opportunity to share with you my thoughts about my country, what my country is trying to do as a Lilliputian member of the international community, and what the US can do in very simple, in a very simple manner in view of the constraints of the time. I thank you, and God bless you all.